The alpha widow. Are you familiar with that term? You familiar with the term the alpha widow in our culture today? Do you know women like this that are alpha widows? Have you dated an alpha widow, or are you dating an alpha widow now? Welcome back to Resilient Man channel. That's what we're gonna cover today, the alpha widow in our culture, in our society today. And I'm actually going to ask you some questions to help you determine if you are with or dating an alpha widow. It's yourself. So hang tight. Good to have you back to Resilient Man channel. Like and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying the content. Please share the content with other men as well. And comment your thoughts and or experiences as well. I'd love to read them, love to check it. I always enjoy that. So let's get into the alpha widow and in our society today. And, I think a lot of them don't even know it, or maybe they just refuse to acknowledge that they are the alpha widow. Essentially, they continue to want men who do not want them. The Chad, the bad boy, the Chad, the bad boy, they don't change, and they're certainly not going to change for these women. And so, but these women have a delusion that the Chad and the bad boy is going to want them. And when they don't, it's quite the emotional and mental blow, in which produces the alpha widow. So what is an alpha widow? Let's describe this. Let's talk about the definition. An alpha widow is a woman who has been with a high value, top tier guy, at least one of them. Let's say a 9 or a 10 on a scale out of 1 to 10. That's what an alpha widow is. And once they've been with this alpha guy, this alpha male, they simply cannot date quote unquote below anymore. Or if they do, they will compare you to the alpha guy that she was with for the rest of her life. And you can never, ever measure up to that guy. It's never going to happen. So essentially what a lot of these alpha widows do is they continue to go many times from Chad to Chad, from, bad boy to bad boy, wanting that validation, wanting that top tier guy in their mind, to choose them out of all the other women out there, even though the majority of the time these alpha widows are average women. Scale 1 to 10, they're, a 5 or a 6 or maybe even a 4. And they continue to increase their body count. That continues to rise and rise and rise with men who do not want them. These men are willing to be with them. They're willing to take them home and have sex with them, maybe even keep them as a side piece for a while. But they're never going to commit to them. They're never going to choose them as their woman, their wife to build a life with and have children and that type of thing. And again, these alpha widows, they either don't know it or they just refuse to acknowledge it. And so they continue the body count going up with these Chads and with these bad boys. And then until they hit the wall, until they age out and they age out of the market. And the market with anything is a cruel equalizer. I mean, the wall is coming. Your value as a woman is, you may be delusional about it, but the market out there, the sexual market value, is not delusional, and especially men. The market is determined by men when it comes to a woman's sexual market value. She may see herself as a top tier woman, but a man is going to look at her physically and say, no, this is what you are. You're a 4, you're a 5, you're a 6, and that is just the reality of it. But the alpha widow can't accept this. She cannot accept this because this guy, this top tier guy, wanted her, or at least in her mind, he wanted her. Now, for the alpha male that she was with, that created this alpha widow, she was something to do. I mean, men will date down, especially sexually. Women want to date up. And so when it comes to these alpha widows, it's really a sad thing, quite frankly, because they could find a good man. They could find a man that is on their level, but those men are invisible to them. And if she gets with a comparable man, a man that's on her level, which we're about to go into this, I'm going to ask you some questions here in a few moments to determine if you are with an alpha widow yourself. If she gets with what she sees as an average guy, a guy who is less than her, she is never going to be satisfied. I mean, she is always going to compare you to that one guy or a few guys that she was with, and there's always a competition going on in her mind, no matter how good a man you are, no matter how well you treat her, or whatever the case might be. We're all familiar with the term hypergamy, and women are hypergamous, and they want to monkey branch and level up and level up. That's been throughout all human history, so that's nothing new. But today, it really is a prevalent thing, and it really is, unfortunately, a lot of women are constantly looking to do that. And if a better choice comes along, she will drop you, she will move on to him. Which is a fallacy because he's never going to actually be with her. But hypergamy among women is really such a self-destructive thing, because they could have a good quality man that's on their level that would love her and treat her right, but she lives in a delusional fantasy of, man, that was the guy, and that was who I was supposed to share my life with. He was supposed to be my husband. I was supposed to be his wife. We were supposed to have children. There's just one minor problem with that. He didn't want you. He didn't want you for life. So, men, what happens if you date an alpha widow? Can you spot an alpha widow? The sooner you do, the better, by the way. What happens if you date her and she ends up, quote unquote, settling for you? It's not good, my friend. It is not good. They ultimately feel bitter, because Chad never wanted them for life, and they end up resenting you because you aren't Chad, and you're never going to be Chad, and you're never going to meet her expectations that her mind delusionally has set because of this one guy, or maybe a number of guys, top tier guys that she's been with. The harsh reality for you, and I'm sorry to say this, you were not her first choice. You were not her first choice. You were a choice, an option that came along as she's getting older, and she's, I want somebody, especially someone to provide for me, someone who will take care of me financially and make my life a little bit easier. But in the back of her mind, she's always got him as the comparison. So how do you know if you are with or dating an alpha widow, or maybe even married to an alpha widow? So let's run through the list. I got six questions here, and you can ask yourself, and I think they're pretty good questions to determine, are you really her first choice, the choice she wanted, or are you not? So number one, does your woman compare you to her ex repeatedly, and or does she bring him up? My ex did this. Why can't you be like this? Or why can't, my ex used to do this, but you don't? Or anything. If she is repeatedly bringing him up, if he keeps coming up in conversation, the history keeps coming back, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Number two, she's never satisfied with you. Okay? No matter what you do, it's never enough. It's never enough. She disrespects you, maybe to your face, or worse, in front of your family and friends. She criticizes you, either way, to your face or in front of family or friends. These are not good things. This is a sign of an alpha widow. Instead of being grateful and thankful for the man that you are and what you bring to the relationship, the love and the caring and the commitment, it's never enough. She's never satisfied. Number three, she still has pictures or other belongings from this guy. Guys, this is not good. This is not good. Why on earth would you keep pictures? Or this was a shirt he bought me, or whatever the case might be. Why would she keep that? Well, she's keeping it for the memory. That memory lives in her heart and in her mind. She doesn't want to let it go. She's an alpha widow. That guy is in the back of her mind. Even worse than that, if they're still friends, okay, essentially what she's doing is keeping the past around. I mean, if you're in a situation where your woman has kept pictures, she's kept other belongings, or worse, she's still friends with the guy on social media, or they see each other, I ran into so-and-so, and, why are you doing this? No. That's the sign of an alpha widow. That guy, she sees him as the one that got away. She sees him as that's a huge, huge red flag that you have an alpha widow and you are not her first choice. Number four, this is really bad. She goes to him with her problems and etc. This, oh my gosh, if I've got this situation with her work, so I called him or worse, I met him for a drink and we talked about it. Or, I've got a situation, my car broke down, I called him to come pick me up. Oh my gosh, this is completely an alpha widow. And she wants that guy back in her life. She won't admit it. She'll just, we just have we were together, but we still have a good amicable relationship. Nonsense. She should not be going to him with her problems or for advice or anything. Number five, she's always sexually avoidant with you. And guys, if you're in this situation, you know it. You can feel it. You can feel when your woman is into you sexually and she wants you sexually. She approaches you. She initiates it with you. If she's not, and you are the one who primarily initiates it, you are the one who goes after her, and when you do, you get the vibe, you get the sense that we're kind of going through the motions. This is kind of a chore. This is a huge red flag that she's probably an alpha widow, and she's got a former guy on her mind. Okay? Don't be delusional. This is, that's a huge red flag. When a woman is hot for you, you will know it. And if she's not, you will know it as well. And there's a reason for it. Somebody else is on her mind. And then number 6, last but not least, is she suddenly makes herself available to this other guy, which kind of goes back to the other point. But, this guy is in the periphery of her life, and it's obvious to you that if this guy needed her, if he wanted to see her, she would make herself available. And she would make up, any excuse. Oh, he just wanted to talk, or, listen, don't be insecure, we're not together anymore. We just met for a drink. Total nonsense. She makes herself available because she wants to be available to him. This is the alpha widow way of, gosh, why did he not want me? And how do I get that back to where he wants me? Don't fool yourself. So those are the 6 questions that I would ask. Personally, I think if any one of those you answered yes, or she's doing it, this is something you really need to watch out for. These are valid questions. I mean, has your woman dated a lot of guys in the past? If she has, one or maybe a few of those guys may have made her an alpha widow. Are you really her first choice? Does she show you that you are her first choice by the actions and effort that she puts forth in your relationship? Does she do any of these 6 things that I just listed? These are things to consider. Another thing to consider, do you argue all the time with your woman? Does there always seem to be conflict, and you feel like you're a disappointment to her? Maybe, probably, you were not her first choice. She, quote unquote, settled for you, and she's an alpha widow. She's an alpha widow who has the one that got away, the one that did not want her, in the back of her mind. And the harsh reality, if you are in that situation and you are with an alpha widow, she's never going to be happy with you. You may be a great guy, a wonderful guy, even an attractive and successful guy, but that memory is what controls her, quite frankly. Maybe even subconsciously, but it is what controls her and motivates her. So, she got with you, and I hate to say this so brutally, because you were the best she could do. That was a harsh reality that she had to come to accept, that Chad, the bad boy, the top tier guy, didn't want her, and she doesn't have as much value as she thought she did or wishes she did. Let that sink in for a moment. That's you don't want to be that guy. You don't. She always internally wrestles with the fact, I don't understand. We had sex. He wanted me. He just wanted you for the night. He wanted you for a little fun, and then he moved on. So this happens with a lot of women. There are many women out there who it's a self-imposed thing, quite frankly. They've chosen to be the alpha widow, even though they've got you, a good quality man, in front of them, but they're constantly comparing you to him or maybe a few guys, and you were just the backup plan until she finds her unicorn, which she never will, by the way. She never will. So, guys, as I was making this content, I was thinking about the song Lying Eyes by the Eagles. And there's a verse in the song that goes, and it breaks her heart to think her love is only given to a man with hands as cold as ice. If you are with an alpha widow, you're the man with hands as cold as ice. And of course, the chorus of the song, you can't hide your lion eyes, and your smile is a thin disguise. She keeps up the facade because you're the fill-in guy. You're the guy who is there because the real guy she wanted, the guy who made her an alpha widow, never wanted her. And if you listen to that song too, she gets a rich man to take care of her, and then she cheats on the side. So pretty thought-provoking. So anyways, guys, what are your thoughts on the alpha widow? And that, have you dated an alpha widow? The questions that I just asked earlier, are you with an alpha widow? If you are with an alpha widow, where does that put you? What position does that put you in? How do you feel about that? Comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're enjoying Resilient Man content, please support the channel by liking and subscribing to the channel, and share it with your other friends. And, focus on you. Focus on being the best version of yourself, and that will bring you ultimate happiness in the long run. So, guys, know your worth. Protect your peace.